The material world is infinitely malleable. But when mankind places the exploitation and the manipulation of matter at the very center of society, it is a signal of severe degeneration. That's a quote from a summary of ancient Indian knowledge. And my name is Robert Lawlor. You may know of one or more of my 6 published books. The first was in 1998, called Sacred Geometry, Its Philosophy and Practice. This book has been in print continuously for 37 years. And then my next book was on Aboriginal culture, called Voices of the First Day. That was in 1991. Also, I did a number of published translations on Egyptian geometry and Indian knowledge, including a book called The Temple of Man. This was a 1,300-page book on Egyptian geometry and their philosophy and theory of number by Egyptologist R.A. Schweller-de Lubitsch. Having been born in the United States, I spent 5 years in the wild 1960s on the Lower East Side of New York City. I was then a student and later became a painter and sculptor of the School of Abstract Expressionism. Following my New York City experience, I took a freighter to Turkey, then hitchhiked for over a year through the Middle East and India. Those years were 1965 and 66. I lived over 7 years in South India as a founding member of a utopian spiritual community called Oroville. This was for a period of 6 years, from 1968 to 74. There in Oroville, I was involved with yoga, with philosophy, and with the agricultural traditions of the Tamil village people. It was there in Oroville that I began translating the works of ancient mathematical thought. Following that, in India, I spent 7 years in, that is 1974 to 1981, in France, studying and translating with a master of Egyptian hieroglyphs and geometry, Madame Lucy Lamy. Finally, then I found my way to Australia and the connection with the first culture, the Aboriginal people. The opening quotation on materialism and degeneration gives a clue to a series of 5 up-and-coming lectures and conferences, which will be focused on my most recent book, The Geometry of the End of Time. This book integrates Egyptian, Indian, Gnostic, and Aboriginal knowledge and their relationship of all of them to the cycles of time and the phases of creation and destruction. The presentation will reveal how ancient knowledge has been utilized not only for our cognitive advancement, but also the shocking truths about its application in governments, religions, and science for the purpose of gaining a destructive power over humanity and the earthly environment. I am hopeful that some will be interested in attending.